Chapter 81, Man-Eating Mushroom Experiment, Another Talent Award. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shot. Taiwan Novel Network. Jiang Xiaozi rushed downstairs in time and gave orders to Lin Yu. The soldiers no longer hesitated and quickly surrounded the monster and started shooting. Soldiers dispersed the crowd to avoid stray bullets. As Jiang Xiaozi expected, the shooting effect was not very good. Pistol bullets can barely stop the monster's movement range, but cannot effectively kill it. It is not afraid of bullets at all. In a confined space, Jiang Xiaozi did not dare to use more powerful rifle bullets rashly. The flamethrower is coming. At this time, the chief of staff suddenly appeared with several soldiers. These soldiers all carried fire cans on their bodies. They picked up the spray guns and surrounded the monster and began to roast it. In the blazing flames, the tentacles on the monster continued to burn and fell to the ground, but there was no damage to the monster's body, not even traces of charring. The monster's body is still alive, and the flames have no effect on it. It shouldn't be resistant to high temperatures. Is this still a plant? Jiang Xiaozi frowned. The crowd hid behind her, and there were constant whispers and discussions. This guy is so miserable. It is said that he has earned hundreds of work points and is very active in his work. It's a pity that he turned into a monster today. This second round of Doomsday is really weird. These plants shouldn't be from the earth, right? Hiss. This scene is like a raging fire. The temperature is too high. I feel like I'm going to have heatstroke again. If you're afraid of the heat, just go away. What are you looking at here? Are you not afraid of death? Quick, kid, come here, don't get too close to the monster. I'm afraid of eggs. Captain Lin is still there, and the soldiers are not dead yet. What should I be afraid of? If they were living alone in a doomsday environment, this group of residents would definitely not dare to join in the fun and watch the monsters, but it's different in Suyi's gathering place. With soldiers blocking the way, everyone was happy to stay and watch the fun. After all, none of us had ever experienced seeing monsters at such a close distance without being hurt. With the fire attack also ineffective, Jiang Xiaozi did not dare to conduct new weakness experiments directly in the gathering place. She looked at Lin Yu and signaled with her eyes. Lin Yu nodded and immediately ordered several soldiers to come forward and use special ropes, nets and explosion-proof shields brought from the police station to completely wrap up and restrain the monster. Then, several adult male soldiers tried their best to drag the monster out of the building, and stuffed it into an abandoned car for custody. Not afraid of high-temperature flames, not afraid of conventional sharp weapons, not afraid of pistol bullets. Jiang Xiaozi looked at several soldiers armed with guns and flamethrowers who lined up to surround the abandoned vehicle, and sighed deeply. This monster is really difficult to deal with. Even she is helpless. It will only be more difficult and dangerous for the survivors who survive alone in the city to encounter such monsters. Leah, what can you do? Jiang Xiaozi looked at Leah beside her. Leah had been observing the monster beside her and never spoke. I haven't thought of it yet. Leah shook her head. Perhaps drug resistance may be effective, but I need to use some parts and derived tissues of human-eating bacteria for research. Besides, I don't know much about the medical field, so I may have to rely more on Mr. Chen. After saying this, Leah looked at Chen Churen. Jiang Xiaozi asked in a deep voice, Mr. Chen, what do you think? Just lock it up first. Chen Churen lazily leaned against the wall. I may have some ideas, but we still need more raw materials. I suggest that we clean up these ghosts in our gathering place first, and do the rest slowly. Well, that's true. The first priority is to clean up first, even if it's in a stupid way. Jiang Xiaozi suddenly frowned. She looked at Chen Churen and looked up and down silently. Why are you looking at me strangely? Chen Churen looked back curiously, touched his cheek narcissistically, and suddenly waved his hand. Miss Jiang, I know I am handsome, but we are impossible. You have always been the boss's wife in my heart. Between us. Why are you leaning against the wall? Jiang Xiaozi pointed at the wall. The man-eating fungus is right next to your arm. Aren't you afraid that you will become the monster you were after being infected? Fine. Chen Churen spread his hands nonchalantly, and even spread his palms completely. covering the two people's faces directly on the wall, clinging to part of the man-eating fungus. Jiang Xiaozi and Liya witnessed with their own eyes that the dark green traces of the man-eating fungi covered by Qinchuren's palms were slowly dissipating. They seemed to be actively avoiding and no longer spreading towards Qinchuren's location. Huh? Liya was surprised and suddenly asked, Mr. Chen, is this your poison? Part of it. I'm still experimenting. I've been experimenting since just now. Qinchuren took his palm off the wall, and there was some white powder and crystals on it. Is this an antibiotic? Liya frowned and Qinchuren nodded. This is the third available drug. It has no lethality to this group of human-eating bacteria, but it seems to make them hate and avoid them. It turns out that certain pharmaceutical approaches can be effective. Liya lowered her head and thought. She murmured and thought, in that case, it should not have broken away from the bacterial framework, and it can still destroy its structure by directly destroying its cellular parts. Mr. Chen, it's a bit too dangerous for you to do this. Jiang Xiaozi frowned and looked at Qinchuren. Use your own body for experiments. If the experiment fails, you will be invaded by human-eating bacteria. Ms. Jiang, are you concerned about me? Qinchuren blinked, and the uncle smiled like a hooligan. I don't dare to be the boss's love rival. Qinchuren. Be serious. I really don't care. Qinchuren put away his smile and waved his hand lazily. I'm going to die. If you want to die, just die. If you can do something for the boss before you die, it won't be in vain for him to support me. Don't do such dangerous experiments in the future. You are very important to Sir. Jiang Xiaozi took a deep look, then looked at Liya, and asked in a low voice, have you got a clue? Judging from the results of Mr. Chen's experiment, this should be the only effective restraint method we currently have. Liya replied, but now most human subjective technologies cannot be used, especially medical methods. If we want to suppress human-eating bacteria on a large scale, we must first obtain the ability to independently produce large quantities of drugs. Prior to this, we can only focus on collecting the remaining specific drugs from medical institutions, and conduct new experiments while exercising some restraint. Jiang Xiaozi nodded, leave these matters to me, you can concentrate on the experiment, and a team of soldiers will be assigned to you. As for this monster. Jiang Xiaozi glanced at the man-eating fungus monster wrapped tightly in the abandoned vehicle and said solemnly, it will be left to you. Don't worry. Qinchuren lazily raised his hand to cover the sun, I will definitely take good care of it. While the three of them were studying the man-eating fungus monster, Sui stayed quietly in the room and did not leave. With the second round of Doomsday beginning, and with no understanding of human-eating bacteria, this heavily modified room is the safest place. Calculate the time, it's almost time to get the talent reward. Sui sat on the sofa and kept looking down at his watch. Based on my current situation, the reward content should be related to human-eating fungi. Besides, it has been 7 days. Even if there is no big prize this time, at least we can give you something that is really urgently needed. Even if it's a specialized plant scientist, it's not a loss. Sui took a deep breath and stared at the time on the watch. After a few minutes, new information prompts appeared in front of his eyes. Congratulations. The talent reward was triggered and the A-level talent unit Chaosiki was obtained. A-level talent. This is the grand prize. It's not a reward for man-eating fungi. Is there something wrong with the talent effect? Sui was also a little confused in the surprise. According to the current situation, no matter how he looked at it, obtaining countermeasures and restraint and dispersal methods for human-eating bacteria should be his most urgently needed reward at the moment. How to return talents. The golden light in front of Sui's eyes filled the air, forming the enchanting figure of a woman. After a while, a woman wearing a white lab coat appeared in front of Sui. She looks about 27 or 80 years old, with a tall and straight figure and an elegant temperament. Her round chin is slightly raised, exuding an indescribable confidence and calmness. Her facial features are very delicate and her face is beautiful, but there is a touch of indifference in her eyebrows that does not allow strangers to approach her. Her long black hair is simply tied back, with a few strands of hair hanging softly by her ears. The scientist, Sui looked at the woman up and down, and the woman was also looking at Sui. I am a doctor. The woman's voice was cold and condescending. She was not as respectful to Sui as the other talents were when they were summoned. At first glance, she seemed so arrogant that she was the one who summoned Sui. Another doctor. Sui frowned. He noticed that the woman's hands were slender and she was holding a larger cloth bag. There is a red cross on the outside of the cloth bag. This is probably a medical bag filled with relevant medical equipment and drugs. Sit down. Sui pointed to the sofa in front of her. The woman nodded slightly and sat elegantly in front of Sui. Her smooth legs were crossed, and her plump figure was looming under the lab coat. Sui had seen too many beauties now, so he didn't have much impression, so he directly opened the talent data and took a look. Name, Zhao Siki, age, 35 years old, type, doctor, scientist, geneticist, talent level, a level, physical strength, 140. Neural response, 280. Endurance, 170. Spiritual will, 300. Self-healing immunity, 320. Talent characteristics, Master of Medicine, she has extraordinary drug research and production capabilities, and can produce a variety of highly effective drugs that can not only cure common diseases, but also fight against various special bacteria and germs. Gene modification, she is proficient in the research of biological genes and has basic modification abilities. She can enhance or weaken the biological skills of the modified target through modification methods. Poison restraint, she is good at restraining any toxins and poisons, and her body is very special. She has a lot of toxin resistance in her body. Talents, surgery specialization, she is good at most surgical and medical operations, and is good at using a scalpel to defend herself and attack enemies. Lone doctor, when she practices medicine independently, she can overcome the most difficult environment, and has the special means to continuously produce new drugs in an environment without medical equipment. Killer wife, she once fell in love with a killer, learned a lot of killer skills, and is good at using drugs to defeat the enemy. Value score, 2680. Well, very good data, the value score is also high. Hey. Wait, Sui saw Zhao Siki's last talent, he couldn't help but be stunned, raised his head and looked up and down at Zhao Siki. You used to be the killer's wife? Sui asked tentatively. Zhao Siki nodded elegantly. Yes, boss, does this have anything to do with my next job? If you want to kill someone, I can satisfy you. Zhao Siki gently lifted her hair at the temples, her movements were charming, but what she said, even the understated tone, made Sui feel inexplicably familiar. This. Sui hesitated, paused for a moment and then said, Excuse me, is your ex-husband's last name Chen? Chapter 82. Is it the current girlfriend? Is it the ex-girlfriend? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Zhao Siki suddenly frowned, her temperament suddenly cold. Boss, do you know that man? If I'm not mistaken, your ex-husband's name is Chinchuran. Sui looked at Zhao Siki and suddenly shut up. He saw that this woman had a sharp scalpel in her hand, which was slowly rotating between her fingers. Boss, if the person you want to kill is him, I can guarantee that he will die in 1,001 ways. Zhao Siki narrowed her eyes slightly, and her rosy lips curled up slightly. She was smiling, but she was very dangerous. 1,001. Sui swallowed a mouthful of saliva. The young woman in front of him was indeed very delicious, but also very dangerous. No, I won't kill him. Then, boss, where is Chinchuran? Zhao Siki's eyelashes flickered lightly, and there was a faint charm in her smile. Since you mentioned this name, you should know, or be able to find him. Just when Sui was thinking about how to start, whether to excuse Chinchuran or say something good, suddenly. Chinchuran's signature loud voice came from outside. Boss. Boss. I'm not going to the market today. I'm going to go out with the team to find medical equipment and some raw materials for making medicine. Well, do you have any games you want to play this time? I'll help you when I go out. Chinchuran said as he pushed the door open, and stopped talking halfway. The flattering smile on his face froze on the spot, and the whole person froze in place as if he was frozen, motionless. The next second, Chinchurin turned around decisively. "Ah, I remember. I have to check the equipment before going out again. Chen. Chio. Ren." Zhao Siki slowly spit out cold words from her mouth. The simple 3 words made Chinchurin stand at the door and dare not move. The atmosphere in the air was a little silent. Sui looked at Zhao Siki, then looked at Chinchurin, and reminded him. "She's calling you." "What?" Chinchurin turned around slowly with a fake smile on his face. "Boss, who is this?" "My new colleague." "You don't know her?" Sui was puzzled. Chinchurin shook his head seriously. "Boss, you know me. I have never been interested in women and never messed around with strange women." "Not interested in women? That means you're interested in men." Sui silently moved his butt slightly to get away from Chinchurin. Zhao Siki couldn't help but sneer when she heard what Chinchurin said. "So I'm a strange woman." "Ah. Oh. Isn't this Dr. Zhao?" Chinchurin was suddenly shocked, as if he had just seen Zhao Siki's appearance, with an undisguised surprise on his face. "Why are you here?" "Oh, look at my eyes, tut tut. A rare guest, an old friend." Zhao Siki sneered. "So I'm just a friend." Chinchurin smiled awkwardly. "Then, is it a girlfriend?" "I don't deserve it." Zhao Siki played with the scalpel in her hand and said lightly, "Mr. Chen is romantic and unrestrained. I am a thin willow who can't catch your eye. How can I be qualified to be your girlfriend?" Chinchurin had cold sweat on his forehead. "Then, is it an ex-girlfriend?" Zhao Siki remained silent, but narrowed her beautiful eyes slightly, and the aura around her suddenly became full of danger. Okay. Sui saw that the atmosphere was getting weird, and he spoke up quickly. He looked at Zhao Siki. "Chinchurin is my man. If you have any grievances with him, you can tell me in detail and I will make the decision. But don't hurt the relationship here. Am I clear enough?" Sui's tone was very serious. Zhao Siki glanced at Sui, and the coldness on her face melted away. She smiled politely. "As you wish, my boss. I won't hurt the relationship with him." Zhao Siki looked at Chinchurin again, her eyes narrowed slightly, and a charming smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. "After all, we are old friends. I still want to talk to him slowly and talk about the past." Well, it can be seen that this woman is very resentful. Sui didn't know what Chinchurin did to Zhao Siki, but judging from the way they looked, they didn't seem to want to confide in each other. Sui had no choice but to let Jiang Xiaozi deal with a woman like Zhao Siki. "Miss Zhao, you just came here, you should not be familiar with it." Sui pondered for a moment, and opened the call channel of the monitoring terminal. "Xiaozi, go upstairs." "Yes, sir." The gentle voice of Jiang Xiaozi came from the terminal voice channel. She always responded to Sui's needs in the first time. "Jiang Xiaozi, my assistant, is also the main manager of our gathering place." Sui sat back in front of Zhao Siki again and said in a deep voice, "Wait a minute, Xiaozi will come up, she will arrange you, including assigning rooms, food, and work. If you have any needs, you can tell her, and it's okay to ask me, Chinchurin, as for you." Sui glanced at Chinchurin, waved his hand, and scolded, "Why are you still standing there? Hurry up and work. You don't do your work every day. Why do you go upstairs when I asked you to study man-eating fungi?" Everyone is a man, and Chinchurin also knows that Sui is helping him and asking him to leave this place of right and wrong quickly. "Hey, okay, boss." Chinchurin nodded quickly, but there was no movement under his feet. "Why aren't you leaving yet?" Sui frowned and murmured in his heart, could it be that this guy saw his old lover unable to walk? "Still want to chat with someone for a while?" "Boss." Chinchurin had a smile on his face that was uglier than crying. "My legs are numb. I can't walk." "Numb?" Sui frowned. "You are a big man, but your legs become numb after standing for a while." "Boss, it's my old friend who gave me some medicine." Chinchurin glanced at Zhao Siki timidly. with a look in his eyes that made him feel as aggrieved as possible. Sui was stunned when he heard this. He turned to look at Zhao Siki, quite speechless. These two are really a couple, they like to drug others quietly. Are you complaining that I shouldn't have done this? Zhao Siki raised her eyebrows and glanced at Chinchuran. Chinchuran quickly shook his head, not daring to say another word. For the sake of the boss still needing you, today's matters are over for now. Zhao Siki waved her hand and said calmly, go away. Zhao Siki didn't see any action in giving the antidote. Sui saw Chinchuran running out of the room as if he was running away, without daring to look back. Sui was a little curious. What method are you using? If it is a paralyzing drug, it will take time to recover, right? His leg will be healed so quickly. Boss, it's a neurotoxin, and it uses a new drug, which I developed myself. Zhao Siki lifted her hair and introduced with a smile. In addition, the man himself has good poison resistance and recovers quickly. That's right. Sui nodded. He glanced at Zhao Siki, and suddenly asked, then do you have special methods for controlling germs and bacteria? The recent gathering place is under threat from some special bacteria, called human-eating bacteria, which are not earthly organisms. Sui introduced the situation of the second round of Doomsday to Zhao Siki. Zhao Siki listened carefully. After Sui finished speaking, she pondered and thought, since Chinchuran's poison is effective, it means that this type of bacteria is still within the reach of medical methods. Within the field. If the boss trusts me, I can give it a try. As soon as Zhao Siki finished saying this, footsteps suddenly came from outside the door. The two of them looked up and saw that Jiang Xiaozi was here. Ms. Zhao, feel free to give it a try, I will definitely support you. Sui nodded. Since Zhao Siki was recruited as a talent reward, it is very likely that this woman has her own unique method of restraining human-eating bacteria. After Sui finished speaking, he introduced to Jiang Xiaozi, Xiaozi, this is Miss Zhao Siki Zhao. She is the second doctor in our gathering place. Her medical skills are even better than Chinchuran's. He used the word smart very hard. Zhao Siki showed a satisfied smile, and Jiang Xiaozi glanced at Zhao Siki with a vague understanding. Don't worry, sir, I will guide Miss Zhao well and try to let her integrate into us as soon as possible. After Jiang Xiaozi finished speaking, she looked at Zhao Siki with a smile. Miss Zhao, come with me. Zhao Siki nodded, looked at Jiang Xiaozi with interest, and left the room with her. After the two women left, Sui held his chin and murmured, it's interesting now, two killer doctors. Judging from the current situation, the two of them should not kill each other. Zhao Siki still has good loyalty to me. It's just, what did Chinchuran do to him? He did it to the point where he wanted to kill him 1,000 times. Sui is curious, but now is obviously not the time to explore this matter. It still takes time to research how to restrain the human-eating fungi. Sui can only wait for now. While waiting, Sui did not forget to try other methods. I still have the rewards from the last round of settlement that I haven't counted yet. Maybe I can get some new methods from them to survive the second round of Doomsday. Sui murmured. He was alone in the room and opened the storage space of the shelter. The data panel of the shelter has independent storage space, but the things it can store are extremely limited. Most of them can only store some unused rewards and times. Sui carefully counted and found out that in the first round of final settlement, he won a CB-level random lottery opportunity for all categories. This is the reward for accumulating more than 10,000 survival points, and it is only the first level of points reward. That little white bear may not have fewer points than me. He may also have received this level of reward. Sui silently calculated in his mind that in addition to the points reward, Sui also had a list settlement reward for being number 1 on the 7 lists. The first place on each regional list can get a BA level designated category reward content. Sui has a total of 7. Fortunately, I didn't name it Sanctuary, and no one knew I had won so many number 1 hits. It's just that this thing is a bit tricky. The designated reward cannot be a talent type. Sui's eyes fell on his last reward, which was the comprehensive final score of the first round, and he could get an S-level random reward. Then, next. Sui took a deep breath and adjusted his mood. It's time for the lottery draw. Chapter 82 S-Level Talent. The man closest to God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. With so many chances to draw prizes, I can definitely win a great reward, right? That there are 8 chances to draw prizes, from low to high. Sui couldn't think of any possibility that he wouldn't become stronger. Even if he was possessed by the god of bad luck and had to live on the minimum living allowance, these rewards would be enough for him to become much stronger. Use a random CB level full category lottery. As Sui spoke in a deep voice, a small golden game console appeared in front of him, with 3 patterns on it spinning rapidly. The so-called full category refers to all categories of props, skills, talents, and talents that have appeared within the scope of the mechanism. Taiwan Novel Network. As long as Sui's luck is good enough, he can get any category of reward. From the current Doomsday Game mechanism, Sui personally believes that the most useful category is talent and the most valuable category is talent. As the pattern of the lottery machine gradually stopped, 3 different golden icons appeared in front of Sui. Congratulations. You have obtained the C-level auxiliary prop, Phantom Camouflage Spray. Phantom Camouflage Spray, a C-level auxiliary prop. Spraying it on clothing or the human body can make it invisible to a certain extent in a short period of time, and the user is difficult to be detected by most technological means and creatures within a certain range. The duration depends on the amount of spray, and it does not exceed half an hour at most. This prop can be used up to 10 times a day, and the number of uses can be restored the next day. Sui looked at the small bottle of spray in his hand and couldn't help sighing. Spray with invisible effect. It's really a good way to avoid danger, but I really don't need this thing now. It seems that this can only be used as an exploration prop for soldiers. The luck of the first lottery doesn't seem to be very good. Sui shook his head, not very satisfied. The first-tier point reward lottery actually gave him the lowest level C-level props. Although the props are still effective, this is not a good sign. Go on, I still have a chance. Sui took a deep breath. He pondered for a moment, and was too lazy to try again and again, so he simply used the next 7 designated category props at once. Use 7 BA level designated category rewards. The designated categories are 5 skills, 2 weapons and equipment. Sui spoke in a deep voice, and a new golden halo appeared in front of him. Sui should have designated the most valuable talent reward, but in order to consider his overall development, he still chose 5 additional skills and 2 weapons and equipment to supplement and improve his current shortcomings. After all, skills and equipment can directly and effectively affect one's current personal strength, in case of a doomsday situation that requires relying on one's own strength to survive. Sui will not be in a hurry at that time. Congratulations. Obtained A-level skill. Good luck. Good luck. A-level skill, passive skill. The skill holder has good luck different from ordinary people, and there is a greater probability of good luck when doing anything. The effect of this skill is not 100% effective, please note. Congratulations. You have obtained the A-level skill, Damage Transfer. Damage Transfer, A-level skill, passive skill. When the skill holder receives any type of damage, 50% of the damage will be transferred to all talent units in the shelter, and the transferred damage will further weaken the damage effect by 30%. Congratulations. You have obtained the A-level skill, Overlapping Peaks. Overlapping Peaks, A-level skill. The skill can be used actively, so that the body is in a state of high-speed movement for a certain period of time, determined by one's own physical strength, so that the body can obtain extremely amazing speed, jump height, and wall penetration. Congratulations. You have obtained the A-level skill, Teleportation of Wishes Come True. Teleportation of Wishes Come True, A-level skill, unlimited number of uses per day. The user can freely teleport in the area he has been to by consuming weak physical strength. When the physical strength is insufficient, the skill cannot be used. The areas that the units in the gathering place have explored are all regarded as areas that the user has visited. Congratulations. Obtained the A-level skill, Big Bull. Big Bull, A-level skill, passive skill. the skill holder has extremely strong physical recovery ability, and automatically restores full physical state when the physical strength is about to be exhausted on the day. At the same time, the skill holder's own endurance, self-healing ability, and defense will continue to increase over time. Congratulations. Obtained A-level equipment, Commander's Long Sword. Commander's Long Sword, A-level weapon. It is the style of an ancient long sword, and has a passive attack effect of sharp, can quickly cut most materials. After wearing it, it can ignore the range and apply the effects of 30% damage reduction, can be superimposed with other effects, 30% speed blessing, including nerve reaction, attack speed and walking, 30% self-healing effect blessing, 30% all-natural resistance blessing, never betray. Congratulations. Obtained A-level equipment, Peace of Mind Amulet. Peace of Mind Amulet, A-level equipment. The wearer is immune to all interference from curses, mental attacks and other mysterious means, and eliminates all threats of force. The threat effect must not be higher than a level, otherwise the effect will be invalid. Hiss. Sui looked at the information prompt in front of him and couldn't help but take a breath. My luck has improved. The first skill is the passive effect of good luck, which directly gave out 7 A-level rewards. Isn't this equivalent to a 10 draw, giving out 10 golds? Sui was overjoyed. He watched as part of the golden light seeped into his body, and the other part of the golden light slowly changed into the appearance of 2 pieces of equipment in front of him. Without saying anything, Sui directly grabbed the long sword and hung it on his waist, and then put on the amulet. These 7 rewards are simply perfect to make up for Suyi's current shortcomings, and also specifically enhance Suyi's current strength. If nothing else, just this long sword, the effect is simply abnormal. Although it cannot work on residents, it can make all of Suyi's talent units and military units stronger. This is a group effect. The more talents Sui has, the greater the value and power of the long sword. As for the amulet, although it looks inconspicuous and is not very useful at present, its appearance also reminds Sui. There must be survivors with mysterious means. This amulet can help me resist all threats of mysterious means of A-level and below, which directly increases my safety factor by many times. Sui murmured, his personal protection ability at the physical level is basically the top at this stage. There is a remodeled technological bedroom, as well as the protection of the forces and army organized by himself. On the physical level, it is basically difficult for an enemy to come to Sui, but if the opponent has some means such as curses, poisons, and remote mind control, then Sui really has no resistance. This thing is like the effect of Chinchuran poisoning the community rebels. At that time, Sui did not have normal offensive means to take down the shelter, and he could not fight against the I Love My Home robot at all. But Chinchuran can use poison, and he directly poisoned a room of people through the door and killed the robot's owner. The I Love My Home robot directly lost its threat without the self-destruct system and the accidental death of the owner. This amulet can effectively prevent the enemy from launching a decapitation operation against me. Then, the next is the last reward, a random S-level reward. Sui touched the amulet on his neck, took a deep breath, and adjusted his state. Thinking about everything he has, there are not many that can reach the S-level, only a talent of, Home of Otaku, and a talent of a newly reached S-level vassal, and an S-level skill parasitism, just these 3. But the effects of these 3 talents and skills are extremely powerful, and they are the key cornerstones of Suyi's current power. The value of the S-level reward must be explosive. Whether it is talent, skill talent, or even just weapons and equipment, I will not lose anything. What's more, I still have the talent of good luck. Even if it is not 100% effective, there is a high probability that I will get a better S-level reward. Sui murmured, no longer hesitated, and used it quickly. Congratulations. Got the S-level talent Wang sure. As the information in front of Sui emerged, a group of human-shaped golden light emerged in front of Sui. It's actually an S-level talent. Damn! I've made a fortune. Sui was ecstatic. The most talents he had now were A-level at most, and this was the first S-level talent. Sui knew too well how useful talents were. He didn't want to wait at all, and directly checked the data information of this S-level talent: name, Wang Shi, age, 251 years old, appears to be a 30-year-old male, type, half machine, half human, special warrior, ascetic, talent grade, S-level, physical strength, 500, beyond human limits, a punch can destroy a hill, nerve reaction, 500, changes rapidly, enemy movements are like slow-motion playback in his eyes, endurance, 500, fighting for days. Without sleep, still maintaining peak condition, spiritual will, 500, mind is as solid as a rock, any mental attack below S-level cannot shake it in the slightest, self-healing immunity, 500, instant recovery from minor injuries, immune to most toxins and diseases. Talent characteristics, super fantasy tech body, he has been transformed by super future technology, and his internal tissues are partially mechanized. He has combat capabilities that are almost comparable to the strongest military robots, and is known as the pinnacle of combat arms of Level 3 cosmic technological civilization. Self-upgrade, due to the technological characteristics of his body, he has a very strong independent upgrade structure, and can repair and upgrade himself no matter what extreme difficulty he is in. Divine Power Awakening, his technological transformation model is Divine Power. In any combat state, he can overload the energy in his body and obtain a limit value of 5 to 10 times beyond his basic data in a short period of time. Let himself reach an unprecedented height. Mind control, he can affect the mind of organisms by simulating the brain waves and magnetic field of organisms, and achieve an effect similar to mind control. Under the premise that the target has relevant resistance and defense means, the effect of this feature will be weakened. Talent, speedy field, open a special magnetic field area around himself. In this area, Wang will have the great ability to control the magnetic field. Combat performance evaluation, almost godly. Level 3 ARM technology module, Wang has all the top technology weapon modules within the level of Level 3 cosmic technology civilization, and has the ability to quickly charge and sustain combat, but because he is a single soldier unit, he does not have the ability to independently destroy a planet. Copy and separation, when Wang is injured, the body part that is separated from the main body can automatically and quickly copy Wang copy under the action of technology. Molecules, and has some combat capabilities of Wang body. The number of this copy effect is theoretically unlimited and has not been put into practice. Free form, Wang can freely change his body state according to the special combat state, so that he can be in ordinary combat state, transparent combat state, immune to physical attacks, functional combat state, open more auxiliary technology modules. Special note, he participated in the God-making plan of a certain technological civilization and successfully completed the transformation, becoming the human closest to God, but he is still a human. Even if he is transformed, he still has the soul and basic characteristics of a human. Of course, as the best killing warrior, he cannot have children, no corresponding organs. Chapter 83, It turns out that I am the ancient person. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hiss. Too strong. Really too strong. As expected of the man closest to God. But with such strong data, why is he only S-level? Sui was shocked. In the mechanism of the Doomsday Game, Wang level of existence can only be S-level. Is there a higher rating? Are there more powerful talent units? How perverted that would be. Sui no longer dared to think about it. With the size of the human beings on Earth not even at the level 1 cosmic technological civilization, it is impossible to imagine the terrifying size and means of a more powerful and magnificent civilization. As Sui finished checking Wang data information, a human-shaped golden light slowly dissipated in front of him, and a 2-meter-tall strong man walked out of it. In terms of stature, Wang is a typical Asian-faced burly man, tall and straight, and he stands in front of Sui like a weathered pine tree. Hello, sir. Before Sui could speak, Wang eyes fell on Sui, and he introduced himself with a serious face. My name is Wang and I am the squad leader of the first team of the White Emperor Corps of the 17th world of the Solar System Earth Coposition Alliance. I report to you. Wang square face was full of determination, and his tone was steady. crisp and neat, with a military style. What surprised Sui the most was that he would automatically tell his origins, which was something that no previous talent had ever done. Your identity, well, it sounds a bit complicated. Sui didn't know what to say for a while. During his slight hesitation, Wang sure seemed to see Sui's hesitation and took the initiative to speak. Sir, I know everything that happened here and my mission here. Wang sure has a head of black and thick short hair, neatly arranged. When he spoke, his eyebrows and eyes revealed a sharp and decisive look. This is the early stage of the Earth's judgment Doomsday, and it is a branch line of the same cosmic landmark plane. In a sense, for you, sir, I am a future person, to be precise, a future person from a different Earth plane. At the same time, I am also a soldier, with the same bloodline as your ethnic group and country. Due to the answer mechanism of the trial mechanism, I already understood most of what happened here when I came here. But I don't know much more than you do. I basically know what you know, and I don't know what you don't know. Wang Shi's eyes were deep and bright. He explained his origins to Sui in a deep voice. Because the technological level of the trial mechanism is too advanced, I can't determine whether I am a copy of the same generation plane or myself. I prefer the former, because if my memory has not been tampered with, my original body should have been on the mission of the 1253rd Jupiter military exercise in the solar system not long ago. Of course, sir, you don't need to worry about my loyalty after recruitment. According to the technological indoctrination of the trial mechanism, if you don't hurt and betray me excessively, I can't actively betray you or do anything to hurt you from the biological emotional level. You can understand it as, this is directly improving my favorability towards you through biological genes, and I can't resist it. At the same time, based on the constitutional provisions of the Yanhuang Alliance region of the solar system, when soldiers encounter ordinary humans and human compatriots in need of rescue at any location, they must provide unconditional military support to protect the lives and personal property of their compatriots. Based on the Constitution, you are a rescue target, and I will be unconditionally loyal to you. Wang Shi showed a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. The smile was very formulaic, a bit like a robot. He seemed to want to comfort Sui, who was still in a confused state. Sir, is there anything you don't understand? I seem to understand everything. Sui blinked. Wang Shi said a lot, but it was very concise and useful information. Sui was not a fool. He basically understood what Wang Shi said. To sum up, the talent units may be clones of humans from different eras and timelines on Earth, and they do have a high degree of loyalty and natural affection for the recruiters. After they were recruited, they mastered the basic information here and knew clearly what they were going to do, but Sui was still a little confused, or to be more precise, a little confused. Wang Shi answered too many questions, which made Sui fall into more confusion. Squad Leader Wang. Well, can I call you that? Absolutely. According to the identity you introduced, you should be similar to the People's Liberation Army of my time. Right? Sui asked cautiously. He was not sure whether Wang Shi could understand the concept of the sons and daughters of the army. After all, they were in different timelines. In Wang Shi's era, the sons and daughters of the army might not be called this name. Yes. Wang Shi nodded, very straightforward. That is the orthodox predecessor of my army, and the most basic form of our army. In my world, it has been improved and optimized many times, and some names have been changed, but the basic purpose has not changed. So, theoretically, sir, you can look at me like this, and some of my codes of conduct will be the same as those of the contemporary Yanhuang soldiers you know. Wang Shi's words made Sui nod his head in sudden enlightenment. The children soldiers are your predecessors. That's easy to understand. This guy may be a more serious saint than Lin Yu, of course. The saint here is not a derogatory term, but a real saint, a hero who can fearlessly sacrifice everything to save his compatriots. Well, I just looked at your data. You seem to have been transformed. Not a pure human. Sui has a strong interest in Wang Shi, not only because he took the initiative to communicate with Sui about things outside the current world, but also because of his own specialness, half human and half machine form, or an ascetic monk, or a special warrior. this buddy's identity is not simple at first glance. I can understand the misunderstanding of me, sir. Wang sure stood straight in front of Sui. The clothes he wore looked like military camouflage uniforms, but the style was different, and the material was not ordinary cloth. There was also a short saber on his waist. In your time, the concept and idea of mechanical transformation may have just been proposed. In my time, the Earth's technology has entered the mature stage of Level 3 civilization. Although there are laws that prohibit private transformation, I belong to the scope of national transformation. Wang Shi explained his legitimacy and emphasized, Sir, whether from a legal point of view or from a biological point of view, I am a human being, not a pure robot. No, I don't mean to belittle you. I'm just curious. Well, it's probably the curiosity of ancient people about modern people. Sui waved his hand, coughed, and lowered his voice. Why did you transform yourself? Is it to become stronger? Yes. Wang Shi nodded. In my time, the solar system has been at war with extraterrestrial civilizations, and it has lasted for 300 years. In order to better defend the solar system, we must have more comprehensive scientific and technological strength, including more powerful individual soldiers. Ordinary human bodies cannot adapt to the complex and ever-changing cosmic battlefield. Wang Shi paused, and suddenly said lightly, The people are behind me, I have no choice. Chapter 84, Captain Wang, you are really versatile. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sui was in awe. It turns out that no matter how many times pass, there is always a group of people who remain true to their original aspirations. This is the inheritance of faith, which will not be corroded by time. It is precisely because of this that human beings have been constantly struggling throughout the vast years, but they have never faded or been eliminated. Sir, I actually need to remind you. Wang Shi suddenly spoke and said in a deep voice, I understand your curiosity about the future, but knowing too much about it will not solve your current dilemma. I suggest that we should get through the current doomsday of judgment first, otherwise it will be difficult for the Earth and this plane to survive. Well, you're right. Sui nodded, but couldn't help but ask, last question, what is the doomsday of judgment? I don't know, I just heard about it. Wang Shi shook his head. In the information transmission of advanced civilizations, we learn that there is the Doomsday of Judgment, which is a random test of different civilizations by more advanced beings. Its purpose is unknown, its behind the scenes is unknown, its identity is unknown, its means are unknown, and its technological level is unknown. What we do know is that it's dangerous, but also full of opportunity. If I had to describe it, I personally think it might be more like a higher-level creature playing tricks on a lower-level creature. There's the reward, but there's also the destruction. Wang Shi paused and suddenly smiled. It's like humans observing ants, except we are ants. Well, even you don't know, so I, an ancient person, want to figure it out even more. Sui spread his hands, took a deep breath, and adjusted himself. Wang Shi is right. It is useless to think too much and too complicated. Let's deal with the immediate things first. Don't worry about the future when the doomsday dies in a few rounds. So, squad leader Wang, now I'm in the second round of doomsday. Do you know about man-eating bacteria? This thing has caused some trouble in my gathering place. Learn. Wang Shi nodded, which made Sui suddenly overjoyed. He was just asking casually, but he was mentally prepared to introduce the man-eating fungi to Wang Shi in detail, and then see if the future warriors could come up with some feasible and more advanced solutions. Unexpectedly, people knew about man-eating fungi at all. Man-eating fungus is one of the many nicknames of Lu's third universe fungus. It was first discovered and named by Dr. Lu Quan of the Earth-Yenhuang Alliance. Man-eating fungi are mostly active in relatively backward ancient biological planet areas, and their distribution range is extremely wide. There are no traces of them in the solar system, but there are areas where they reproduce and spread in the Milky Way. In the middle and late stages of the Second Battle for the defense of the solar system, the enemy widely used biological weapons against humans on Earth, and there were human-eating bacteria. At that time, the research team led by Dr. Song Tianla, after 7 days and 6 nights of violent scientific research experiments, cracked the genetic layer of the human-eating bacteria, created a new human vaccine, and enabled humans on Earth to achieve the extinction of human-eating bacteria in the entire solar system in 3 days. This is a great victory in the second battle to defend the solar system, and it is also one of the key nodes for victory on the battlefield. Wang Shi's introduction was extremely comprehensive, which made Sui feel like he was listening to a history teacher's lecture. Really, this is what it feels like. It is indeed a magnificent history. Sui nodded and asked, then how to solve it? Now, well, maybe you can introduce Dr. Lu Quan to me. Sui's tone was a bit joking, but there was indeed a vague expectation in his heart. What if the future warriors are really so awesome? Can you really buy one get one free? I can't introduce you to Dr. Lu Quan. I can't cross planes or even lead people to cross planes. Wang Shi took it seriously. He shook his head seriously, and then said, the man-eating fungus belongs to ancient bacteria. Even for your era, it is very ancient. It is a planet-level overlord creature that is more difficult to deal with than dinosaurs. But it still belongs to the biological category, not just bacteria and fungi. It has low intelligence, amazing reproductive capabilities, and is resistant to most of the current technological weapons on Earth. But it is very averse to antibiotics and viral drugs. Song's vaccine cannot be produced in the current Earth era, but it can be targeted based on its basic aversion characteristics. Wang Shi paused and added apologetically, this is just my calculation deduction, which does not mean it is absolutely correct. My auxiliary system is a military combat type and does not have scientific research and experimental calculation capabilities. My scientific research assistance is limited to basic weapon manufacturing and research and development. You can also build weapons. Sui's eyes lit up, and Wang Shi nodded, yes, sir, I can make basic weapons and equipment. At this stage, the range of weapons on Earth, as long as the equipment is sufficient, I can create it independently. Grass. What a strong future warrior. He is indeed the strongest single soldier. It seems that human-eating bacteria can only be studied by those two enemies. Sui sighed slightly, not too worried, since there are solutions and restraints, we will not be helpless. Sir, I can deal with the man-eating fungi in the gathering place. Wang Shi reminded, my combat system has a removal module for biological warfare. Although I can't completely eradicate all man-eating bacteria, I can ensure absolute safety in a certain area. I mean that man-eating bacteria will never appear in the area you specified. That's great. But... Sui widened his eyes, you alone are enough. I'll assign you a few people. No need. Wang Shi shook his head, I will be more efficient if I act alone. Wang Shi's words did not really dislike modern soldiers as a burden. He just told the truth based on the possible military missions. Squad leader Wang, you are really versatile. Sui sighed and waved his hand, what are you waiting for, get started. Right now, remove the man-eating bacteria and protect the gathering place. Sui paused and added, there are also many ordinary people in the gathering place, all of whom are Yanhuang people. My beliefs are the same as yours. Do you understand? Based on Wang Shi's interpretation just now, Sui already knew that talents are not absolutely unrepentant. If Sui is too cruel, talents like Lin Yu and Wang Shi are likely to part ways with Sui. Of course, Sui is not such a person. He is just an ordinary Chinese man on Earth. He loves staying at home, playing, being cautious, and being smart, but he also loves his country in his heart and has a kind nature, but he still has to emphasize this to Wang Shi. After all, Wang Shi is too important as a talent unit, an S-level future warrior, and almost omnipotent. As long as Wang Shi is in hand, Sui almost feels that his inner sense of security has increased a lot. Yes, sir. Wang Shi nodded heavily. He didn't say too much. After receiving the task, he turned around and left the room. His back was broad, and his steps were steady and powerful. Every step seemed to be able to crush the obstacles in front of him, giving people great courage and comfort. What a great luck. Sui looked at Wang Shi's back and suddenly realized in his sigh, wait. My luck is so explosive, will my lifespan be affected? Today is a bit too lucky, so lucky that it makes me panic. Sui touched his head, got up from the sofa, and came to the monitoring terminal. He saw Wang Shi walk downstairs, walk straight through the crowd gathered in the hall, step out of the gate guarded by the soldiers, and go directly to the building. Wang Shi stood outside the wall of the building. He glanced at the surveillance camera on the eaves above his head, and then silently stretched out his palm against the wall. The man-eating fungus that his palm touched seemed to have encountered a natural enemy. It swam back and forth like a living thing, fearing that it could not avoid it. The next second, a circle of almost translucent light emanated from Wang Shi's arm and continued to spread. This light circle is not a certain color, but more like a distortion after the flames burn the air. It continues to spread, like a nuclear bomb after the explosion, continuously emitting ripples in circles. The slightly twisted ripples covered the affected areas, and all the man-eating fungi were retreating like crazy. The building, which was originally covered with dark green man-eating fungi, gradually restored its original wall color. The man-eating fungi began to retreat from the building to the ground, and gradually disappeared, visibly moving away from the gathering area where Sui was. In just a few dozen seconds, the entire building was completely renewed, and the second round of doomsday disaster that had just arrived was completely dispelled by Wang Shi alone. Chapter 85, Iron Forest is neutral, and even a ghost can be romantic. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Look. The weird things are gone. They are gone from the walls. Hey, really? They disappeared. Where did they go? What weird things? Those are man-eating fungi. Didn't the system announce it before? By the way, where did the man-eating fungi go? Did the chief show his power? I have always suspected that the chief is very powerful. It is very likely that he is a big brother on the list. Don't be funny. If the chief is so powerful, what would he have done before? I am not disrespecting the chief. I am just talking about the facts. In the hall downstairs, the exclamations of the crowd could be vaguely heard. Everyone was gathered together by Jiang Xiaozi in order to prevent a single person from being attacked by man-eating fungi after being left alone. This thing has been proven to have a strong aggressiveness to attack humans. With the protection of soldiers and the building's own security system, the safety factor is obviously higher. Before the crowd discussed for a while, Jiang Xiaozi's gentle voice came from the building broadcast. Just got the news from the chief. Our special soldier Wang Shi used his ability to eliminate the threat of man-eating fungi in the gathering place. Of course, this does not mean that the man-eating fungi have disappeared, but our gathering place has temporarily regained safety. Now, lift the alert state, and everyone returns to the dormitory. Take a collective rest today, do not make any work arrangements, and no one is allowed to go out. Temporarily block the gathering place. After Jiang Xiaozi's broadcast voice was recorded, it was repeatedly spread and echoed in several surrounding buildings. The crowd also suddenly realized. Wang Shi. Is that the big guy who just walked out? Oh my god, how come the chief has so many talented people under his command? What did I say just now? The chief is 100% the leader of the ranking list. The number one on the talent list must be our chief. The chief is really awesome and really powerful. I underestimated him. I am convinced. I thought how the second round of Doomsday would be used. This is it. This is it. Really, I am not exaggerating. It is not as threatening as the high-temperature Doomsday. At least it can make me sweat more. Brother, you never mentioned the death just now. Fortunately, the man-eating bacteria do not have the ability to infect again, otherwise the brothers who were scratched just now would have mutated long ago. Although they do not have the ability to infect again, they look very weak after being scratched. They don't have to work these days. I really envy them. The crowd was filled with joy and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Although there are some tough talkers, they are all based on the strength of the gathering place. Sui was also happy to hear such voices. At least it showed that everyone's cohesion and recognition of the gathering place were gradually improved. Just at this time, Wang Shi pushed open the door and walked in. He glanced at the crowd and saw the soldiers around him saluting him seriously with admiration in their eyes. Wang Shi reflexively saluted on the spot, and then went upstairs in silence. So he is also a soldier brother, that a woman muttered in the crowd. He is so strong, I wonder if he will be like a bull. He is so tall, he will definitely hurt me. Little hoof, don't be wild. Miss Jiang said that you can't harass soldiers. Last time you attacked Dr. Chen at night, you were punished. Have you forgotten so quickly? Steel is neutral in the forest, and ghosts are also romantic. I'm not afraid. Steel, steel. Miss, can my steel enter your jungle? No, I only like Wang Shi today. I must get this man. There were whispering voices in the crowd, both men and women were discussing Wang Shi who went upstairs. Almost all the women had their eyes shining, and they all listed Wang Shi as the second most worthy man in the gathering place. Even Chinchuran retreated to the third target. You ask who is the first? Of course it is the elusive otaku upstairs, who doesn't want to be the wife of the leader. All dispersed, sisterly, under the arrangement of Jiang Xiaozi, took the girls to step forward and began to arrange the crowd to leave in an orderly manner. Go home and rest. Hurry up, Miss Jiang said that today's rest is also considered basic work points. It is a spiritual comfort for everyone. Encourage everyone to unite and spend the second round of Doomsday together. Long live Miss Jiang, a man in the crowd shouted loudly, extremely excited, but soon he was reminded, you shouted the wrong long live, Miss Jiang is not the leader. Oh, right. Long live the leader, that the crowd walked out of the hall with laughter. Among the various topics of conversation in the gathering place, there is another figure named Wang Shi today. When the crowd left, Wang Shi had returned to Su Yi's room. Jiang Xiaozi was also there. She was originally sitting next to Su Yi. Seeing the newcomer coming, she quickly stood up and stood silently behind Su Yi. Wang Shi just glanced at Jiang Xiaozi, and then saluted Su Yi solemnly to report. Sir, I have completed the task. I saw it all, and I did a good job. Su Yi smiled and nodded, and asked, Squad Leader Wang, what method did you use? I don't understand it. Can you explain it roughly? It's the magnetic field control module. I slightly adjusted the magnetic field of the earth veins in the area where the gathering place is located, and adjusted it specifically to the disgusting magnetic field of ancient creatures such as man-eating fungi, so as to achieve the effect of widespread dispersal. Wang Shi paused and replied, because my kinetic energy is too advanced for the current era, theoretically as long as I am still here, the magnetic field effect will not disappear, and no man-eating fungi will approach the gathering place again. The effect lasts this long. Great, Su Yi nodded with satisfaction. Although Wang Shi could not eradicate the man-eating fungi, Su Yi was satisfied enough with this move. As soon as the second round of Doomsday started, we solved the existential danger. In the next month, you can grow and develop with peace of mind, and you will be far ahead of other survivors. Sir, do we still need to continue research on human-eating bacteria? Jiang Xiaozi asked in a low voice from the side, and Su Yi nodded. Continue, Wang Shi can only treat the symptoms, and the root cause depends on those too. Well, by the way, where did you arrange for Zhao Siki to go? She is out on a mission with Chinchuran, escorted by Lin Yu. She is looking for usable medical equipment to prepare for the next analysis experiment of cannibal bacteria. Oh, I'm looking for equipment. Su Yi nodded, suddenly stunned, and suddenly raised his head to look at Jiang Xiaozi. What did you just say? Did you ask Zhao Siki to go out with Chinchuran? Jiang Xiaozi nodded, yes, sir. Damn it, they're going to fight. Someone's going to die. Su Yi was immediately shocked. Sir, it shouldn't be possible, right? Jiang Xiaozi tilted his head and frowned. When they met for the first time, they had no grievances against each other. Why did they fight each other? And even kill people? No injustice or hatred. That bitch wants to kill Chinchuran 1,000 times. It's a long story. Su Yi sighed. He didn't plan to explain too much. He planned to directly connect Lin Yu's perspective to check the situation, and by the way, remind Lin Yu to pay attention to the dynamics between the two. When these two people stay together, they probably won't do anything openly, but if they really have murderous intentions, even if they are just slightly violent, it can affect innocent people. It doesn't matter if you poison me, don't harm my Lin Yu. That is my future general. But just when Sui was about to connect to Lin Yu's perspective, suddenly a mysterious voice sounded in his ears, "Attention all survivors. The second round of Doomsday War Dungeon is about to begin." Chapter 87, the latest Doomsday War mechanism. Battlefield Legacy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The guidance information has been announced, and online voting will begin below. The difficulty options for the second round of the National Doomsday War are as follows: single choice, F level, E level, D level, C level, B level, A level, S level. The difficulty increases in sequence. Starting from level D, the survivors of the country can obtain basic survival supplies, and then each difficulty level increases, the material rewards will be doubled. The theme type of this National Doomsday War: confrontation. War scene: random terrain map environment around the world. War rules. Point 1. Randomly match two different human countries to fight against each other. 2. The number of participating soldiers is limited to 10,000, and no war equipment is carried. Point 3. During the battle, there are a large number of random neutral creature units, non-Earth creatures, in the map, and neutral creatures will randomly attack one of the two camps, will not form an alliance with humans. Point 4. The choice of national difficulty can affect the standard of strength increase that the enemy can obtain. According to the voting difficulty of the survivors of both countries, the party with lower voting difficulty can obtain more war advantages, and if the difficulty is the same, neither side will enjoy strength increase. Duration: 29 days. Winning condition: annihilate all enemies. Defeat condition: all our side is annihilated or time expires. The number of soldiers participating in the war is limited to 10,000, and no war equipment is carried. This match country: Sakura country. Voting starts below. Voting time is 1 hour, and failure to vote within the time limit will be deemed as choosing the lowest difficulty. A large number of prompts about the second round of the Doomsday War appeared in front of Sui line by line. Sui did not dare to neglect and read it carefully. When Sui saw that the theme of the war was confrontation, his first reaction was, "This is a clear card for humans to kill each other. Fight each other. Absolutely a poisonous plan." When Sui saw that the opposing country was Sakura country, his second reaction was, "Good strategy. Excellent strategy. Praise the Doomsday War." Not only Sui thought so, all the domestic survivors who saw this message immediately exploded in the chat channels of major cities. Confrontation. Kill each other. Wait. The little devils. Damn it, we have to do it. If you tell me about Doomsday survival, I might consider the issue of my own survival, but if you talk about the little devils, it's not a matter of whether I live or not. Even if I die, I can't make it. My whole family is wiped out. I will kill these bastards. No way, brothers, what era is it, and you are still doing this? I'm really fed up with it. Stop yelling, can you take care of yourself first? I caught a little traitor. Do you dare to report your location? I'll fucking kill you offline. This kind of thing will never be tired of it. It's never outdated. I just remember grudges, and I will never forget the century-old national humiliation. Good doomsday mechanism, I suddenly like it a little, brothers. Don't say anything, start F level. At this time, most of the survivors in the country had almost the same attitude, choose F level. What resources? What's wrong with not being able to survive? It is to let the soldiers bring more cannons, and it is best to bring nuclear bombs, and blow him up. Sui did not have any doubts, and almost immediately chose to vote, F level. Then, Sui continued to observe the chat channel and found that everyone's discussion was basically the same. 1 month after the doomsday is not enough to wipe out people's patriotic feelings. I can become cruel and even kill my neighbors, but this does not mean that I can allow other countries to be bullied in the doomsday war, especially by the Sakura country. People have only one life, and they live to fight for their dignity. If we lose this war, is there any meaning in living? An hour later, a new message prompt appeared in front of the survivors across the country. This vote is over, and the voting results are announced, F level. The result is no surprise. It's F level again. Even after Sui opened the voting data column, he took a look. Wow. The proportion of votes for F level accounted for 92%. This time everyone's opinions are almost completely consistent. Although there are still 8% of survivors who may have their own thoughts or really can't hold on, the attitude of most survivors is still firm. The result of this vote is, our F level vs the other side's A level. The number of soldiers participating in the war has increased to 100,000, and they can wear corresponding weapons and equipment. The other side is only allowed to carry basic defense equipment and cannot carry any weapons and equipment. Since this is not the first Doomsday War, all countries do not have the qualifications for giving and demanding operations before the war. The second round of the Doomsday War has officially begun. With the announcement of the latest news, the domestic survivors who had just finished voting suddenly felt extremely satisfied. Fuck. 100,000 against 10,000. And with normal equipment, this is definitely a crushing victory. Don't say anything, just open the champagne. I want to take out the urine from last night. I will be full today. Brother, when is it still time to drink urine? You won't spend this month like this. Is there a possibility that my talent is to get the same amount of food by drinking non-drinking water? Ah. There is such a talent in this world. The world is so big and strange. In the city area chat channel, there was a cheerful atmosphere. Sui couldn't help but smile. But before he could laugh for a while, a new piece of information suddenly appeared in front of him, still related to the Doomsday War. Hasn't the Doomsday War already started? How come there is still relevant information? Damn! What kind of new mechanism is this? Sui took a look and was immediately shocked. The second round of the Doomsday War has started. All national armies that have completed the war half of the time in advance in the first round of the Doomsday War have obtained the War Fund Box module. War Fund Box, Special Mechanism Module. All survivors of the country can actively inject any props, items, talents and other full category item information into the War Fund Box. Every time a certain amount is injected, the corresponding amount of War Fund points can be obtained. All items in the war fund in the country will be converted into war resources accordingly, helping the country's army to grow and maintain its strength. At the same time, the War Fund Box points ranking list is opened. In any period of time, the top 10,000 players in the country's war points ranking list can have the opportunity to communicate with the country's army. The higher the ranking, the lower the limit on the content that can be communicated, and obtain war heritage. War heritage. It will not take effect if the country loses the current war. When the country wins the current war, it will randomly obtain items, creatures, displayed as talent units, talents, skills, war weapons, etc. in the war copy world. The higher the war score ranking, the more valuable the war heritage obtained. War heritage. Sui touched his chin. He didn't expect that winning the war in advance would have this benefit. This is a snowball for everyone. Not only countries that have won too many wars, but even citizens can snowball with each other. The more abundant the resources, the more survivors have the most advantages in this mechanism. They can exchange the things they don't need for war heritage, and have a chance to get what they need. Even talents can be donated. Should I? Forget it, talent units are treasures, so I'd better not do it. Sui shook his head. He didn't plan to contribute talents, but he definitely had to get some points. Among these 10,000 people, he must get a position to see what this war heritage is. Chapter 88. If fate wants me to be the hero. You are listening at novelfull.audio. It's not just Sui who has ideas, all the survivors in the city chat channel have ideas. War legacy. Hiss, why do I feel like this thing seems to be quite powerful? If I understand correctly, like the enemy maniac in the first round, this kind of creature can also be obtained. Then I will be invincible right here. No need to worry about the defense of the shelter anymore. Come on, buddy, if you treat maniacs as treasures, it means you don't even have extra resources. How can you fight for the 10,000th place? It's not easy to fight for 10,000 with 600 million. Tisk, it's just a game played by the big guys in the regional rankings, and we civilians can just watch the show. Well, I just tried it. It seems that not only mechanical items, but many non-mechanical items also count as points, but not much. Fuck. It's true. I just contributed a table and gave me 1 point. I reluctantly contributed the body of my pet cat. I was going to keep it for myself, but it was all rotten and gave me 0.1 points. Sui glanced at the discussion information in the city chat channel and was shocked. How fast are your hands? Someone has started to operate now. Sui quickly opened the war score ranking list and found that the ranking list information was updated almost once a minute. The names of the top names took turns to refresh the upper limit of donation points. This is the only national ranking list among many ranking lists. Less than 5 minutes after the latest war score mechanism was announced, the top score of the war score list has been raised to 12,000 points. Its value is still growing. What kind of perverts are they? Damn, there are really hidden dragons and crouching tigers in China. Sui sighed, the competition is too fierce. However, this ranking list can also be used to learn a piece of information. There are quite a few survivors with strength in the country, and they are probably big brothers with advanced shelter talents. If you encounter a good talent, after a month of long-term development, the probability of having such a hand is still not small, not to mention others. Just for Sui himself, there are quite a few props that he can't use very well. When Lin Yu captured the refuge of the thugs, he inherited some odds and ends, but they were not very effective. Some of them were handed over by Sui to Jiang Xiaozi to improve the quality of life in the refuge, while the other parts were really useless. Most of the props overlapped, and Sui had been throwing them into the storage space of the refuge to collect dust. Sui thought that he was not the most developed survivor, and he was still a Buddhist. Even so, he had a lot of items to donate, not to mention that those true sons of genius and lucky people of the Doomsday must have a lot of materials to donate. Don't donate yet, let's see the situation. If I can't even make it to the top 10,000, then it's useless for me to donate. Sui pondered, and he was not in a hurry. After all, the acquisition of the war legacy has to wait until the victory of this round of war. Even if the soldiers slaughtered these little books, it would take several hours, right? Let's watch and see. With the current crazy momentum of points growth, Sui is not sure he can make it to the top 10,000. These bastards, it's the end of the world, but they are still so patriotic. They are really active in donating to the war. Go ask Xiaozi, she may have some good suggestions. Sui raised his head and found that Jiang Xiaozi had already left the room. Only Wang Shi was still standing beside him, standing silently beside Sui like a sculpture. He stood against the wall, silent as a ghost. Wang, where is Xiaozi? Sir, she saw you thinking, so she left to do something. Wang Shi spoke in a deep voice, as if he had facial paralysis, always expressionless. Call her over, I have something to ask her. Sui paused, then asked, by the way, didn't Xiaozi assign you a task just now? Didn't I tell her to arrange you? Ms. Jiang said that my main task at the moment is to protect you personally and be your bodyguard. Wang Shi looked at Sui and said calmly, I think she is right. You are the core of the gathering place, and ensuring your safety is the most important thing. Of course, if you need anything, you can give orders at any time, and I'm always waiting. Okay, this arrangement is also good. Sui nodded. At present, the arrangements for the personnel in the gathering place are reasonable, and there is nothing special that requires Wang Shi to come forward. After Wang Shi left the room, he quickly returned with Jiang Xiaozi. Sir, do you have anything to do? Jiang Xiaozi sat next to Sui gently, and Sui told him all the situations of the second round of the Doomsday War, including the latest war legacy mechanism and the situation of the war score ranking list. Xiaozi, what do you think I should do? Should I donate now or wait a while? Sui paused and frowned. I prefer to wait and see, but I am worried that if the soldiers play the fast pass again, won't my hesitation now miss the war legacy reward this time? Sir, this time it will definitely not be a fast pass. You can rest assured to observe the data information of the rankings to ensure that you can enter the top 10,000 and get the reward. Jiang Xiaozi's voice gently comforted Sui, and Sui asked, why do you think so? Do you have any analysis? Sir, do you remember the mechanism of the war legacy you mentioned just now? I remember the content completely. One of the rules says that the national army has the rules to communicate with the first 10,000 survivors, right? Yes. Sui nodded, and suddenly a light bulb went off in his head. You mean, the soldiers will deliberately leave enough time for the 10,000 rankings to stabilize, and then contact this group of people? That's for sure. Jiang Xiaozi smiled and nodded. According to the style of the national army of this era, they are still eager to protect their compatriots even if they are in another world. They are undoubtedly great. But at the same time, we cannot deny that in the dangerous era of Doomsday, in the absence of managers and national institutions, the survival situation of most survivors in the country is very difficult. In fact, under the Doomsday mechanism, what we need most is not talent and skills, but to re-coordinate the management institutions across the country, so that the country and the nation can regain vitality and restore operational capabilities. Only by maximizing the unity of all people and working together can the threat and mortality rate of all rounds of Doomsday be minimized. This is the only way to protect everyone to the maximum extent, which perfectly meets the main goal of the soldiers. Jiang Xiaozi suddenly shut up when he said this. She saw that Suyi's eyes were getting brighter and brighter. War, there must be a military goal. War for no reason is not cost-effective, and no one wants to die in vain. And what is the military goal of the soldiers in the current Doomsday War? It's too obvious. It is to protect as many domestic survivors as possible. Before, it was difficult for the soldiers to communicate with the country, so they could only win the battle to help the domestic survivors, but now there are more means of communication, and the soldiers will definitely use them. The method mentioned by Jiang Xiaozi is almost 100% what the soldiers will do. They will definitely take the initiative to communicate with the first 10,000 survivors. However, due to limited places, communication cannot be done now. Because of the influence of military goals, the soldiers are pursuing the maximum survival of survivors in the country, so they must find 10,000 survivors with strength and conscience, and be wary of deceivers among them. Finding liars, thugs, and weak people is meaningless because it cannot achieve military goals. It is necessary to find survivors who meet the requirements. As long as these 10,000 survivors who meet the requirements are communicated, a certain degree of Doomsday stability can be achieved. As long as the operation is proper, there is a probability that the survival rate of survivors in a certain area can be increased by joining forces with the strong, and 10,000 areas together basically cover the whole country. I understand. Sui took a deep breath. Indeed, the soldiers will not rush through the war, and they must also ensure that the first batch of war heritage will fall into the hands of the right survivors, rather than the hands of the thugs who are afraid of chaos in the world. And to do this, it must take a lot of time to contact and select, and perhaps use influence to carry out other operations, even borrowing a knife to kill. Sui narrowed his eyes slightly, and he thought of more layers. Communication means that there may be deception, and there may also be acts of sowing discord and falling out. This thing may not necessarily be a picture of mutual love and mutual help. The smarter the person, the more he will suspect the communication information, but he will not give up this rare communication opportunity. Sir is really smart. Jiang Xiaozi smiled with satisfaction. With just a little guidance, Sui understood it by analogy. This man is not stupid. He is growing every day and gradually becoming an excellent Doomsday leader. So, Xiaozi. Sui took a deep breath and asked in a deep voice, what do you think I should do next? The same question, but Sui asked with a different meaning this time. Do you want to get the top 10,000? Or, do you want to get a higher ranking? Make a new plan, get more supplies, and donate as much as possible. Jiang Xiaozi almost did not hesitate. In my opinion, sir, you will definitely be recognized by them. Whether it is from the perspective of interests, nature, beliefs or identity, you are more qualified than anyone else. This is your chance, the chance to be recognized by the orthodoxy. Sir, this is true righteousness, not false deception. Jiang Xiaozi actually discovered a long time ago that Sui was actually not used to the strategy he had launched before, borrowing the identity and style of soldiers such as Lin Yu to mislead the survivors about the identity of the gathering place, but this time, as long as it is done well, there is no need to worry about misunderstandings. The opportunity to become a regular army is right in front of you. The righteousness in troubled times is also extremely important. There was a flame burning in front of Suyi's eyes, and he was silent. Jiang Xiaozi looked at Suyi with a smile. She knew that Suyi was persuaded. Then, let's do it. Suyi took a deep breath and murmured, if I am successful, I will help the world, and it is also for my better life. If fate decides that he must be the hero, Suyi doesn't mind. To be honest, he also enjoys the feeling of being loved and admired. Okay, sir, I will make a new plan. Jiang Xiaozi paused and reminded, but before that, we still need to do something very important. Chapter 89. The soldiers passed quickly again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sui asked, what's the matter? Jiang Xiaozi glanced out the window and lowered his voice. Residents are strictly prohibited from making private donations. Mr. just said that those who lost their shelters have also restored new shelters, but judging from the current situation of the residents, their assets are not enough to gain many war points. Blindly following the trend will only cause the gathering place to lose more dispatchable resources and props, and they will not be able to break into the top 10,000. This is a lose-lose approach. The biggest effect of the existence of the gathering place is to gather people's meager strength to provide collective security. But people may not understand the reason. After all, people have a fluke mentality. When necessary, there must be strict rules and constraints. Jiang Xiaozi paused and reminded, even if this rule may cause some dissatisfaction, we must achieve complete control of the gathering place. Sui did not hesitate as Jiang Xiaozi expected. He nodded almost decisively, let's do it. Violators will be severely punished. Sui made a firm statement and fully supported Jiang Xiaozi's suggestion. This surprised Jiang Xiaozi a little, but he was even more relieved. The growth of the gentleman is simply amazing. A month ago, Sui might have been unnecessary soft-hearted and kind, but now Sui is like an emperor who uses both kindness and power. He fully understands the necessity of cruel means. A certain degree of brutal suppression and rigid rules are for longer-term development. Explanation. A true manager will never explain too much to the managed. Time and history will prove everything. Half an hour later, Sui heard the new rules and regulations read out by Jiang Xiaozi on the radio in the 3 buildings. The latest regulations of this gathering place regarding the latest war heritage are announced below. Jiang Xiaozi is very efficient. In a short period of time, he formulated a complete set of rules and information, announced them to all the survivors in the gathering place, and fully explained the key relationships and penalties for violations. At this moment, the residents in the gathering place all raised their heads and looked at the radio speakers silently, without any discussion. Everyone has their own considerations. Jiang Xiaozi knows that not everyone will abide by the rules of the gathering place, but the gathering place must do so. The interests of the collective and the individual are bound to conflict in some cases. However, this incident is just a small episode. Jiang Xiaozi is worried about the little thoughts of the survivors in the gathering place, but Sui thinks that there are only a few such people. After all, the talent effect of the vassal is here. Compared with competing for the top 10,000, most ordinary people pay more attention to their own life safety. As long as the contract is signed, it is clear that it is difficult to completely separate from Sui. It is the most unwise behavior to offend Sui at this time. Compared with these, Sui is more concerned about the competition in the war points ranking. The competition is a bit fierce. Sui murmured. He has been paying attention to the rankings. The competition for the top 10,000 in the rankings is very fierce. Sui really can't figure out how many big survivors are throwing resources here. You really treat reality as a game, don't you? You're fighting for the top spot so fiercely. No, what is the war legacy? No one knows yet, but you're fighting for the top spot now. In the Doomsday, all kinds of resources must be the most precious. I don't believe you don't understand this. Could it be that, the points exchange ratio for resources is very high? Sui thought silently, then he took out an unused E-level item from the storage space and donated it with an experimental mentality. Congratulations. You completed the donation and got 100 war points. E-level item, 100 points, Sui pondered. He looked at the fruit plate on the table in front of him. There were a few oranges. Sui donated the fruit plate. Congratulations, you completed the donation and got 1 more point. The gap is a bit big, how about trying a weapon? Sui took out his pistol, which was given by Jiang Xiaozi. It was said to be a sidearm, but Sui really didn't need it. Congratulations, you have completed the donation and obtained 10 war points. A pistol is not as good as an E-level item. Hiss. The item I just donated is just the simplest entertainment item. From the perspective of Doomsday survival, the pistol is more useful. It seems that the mechanism of war points is based on the props in the Doomsday Game. The higher the prop grade, the more points you get, while ordinary materials and items in the Earth world can only get a very small amount of points. Sui took another look at the ranking information and found that the data of the first place has exceeded 100,000 points. This is too scary. In less than 2 hours, someone has made so many points. It's over, you are really a group of involutionary madmen. The country is so lucky to have you. Sui shook his head and sighed. From the overall situation, the more people and things donate, the greater the increase in strength of the national army, but for Sui himself, the more people donate, the greater the pressure on him to get a good ranking. Looking at this situation, there is a high probability that some survivors found a large-scale material storage base and donated a large amount of materials in one go. After all, given the current situation, it is unlikely that anyone will donate a large number of low-level mechanical items, or be willing to donate high-level mechanical items. The 10,000th place, the current score is 3,000 points, well, the pressure is not particularly great. Sui counted the things that he could not use in the storage space of his shelter, and it should be no problem to squeeze into the top 10,000. Sui closed the ranking list, and he planned to wait for 2 days. Let's take a look at the situation of the national war. It has been almost 2 hours since the war started. Have the soldiers passed it quickly? Sui opened the national war situation and was shocked. At 2 o'clock this afternoon, the second round of the Doomsday War began, and the country's army entered. At 2:01 p.m., the country's army determined the current war copy world type, Osaka Castle in Sakura Country Island. At 2:20 p.m., the country's army launched the drone encirclement plan, searched for all traces of the participating enemies, and completed the encirclement. At 2:30 p.m., the first wave of battles appeared. The enemy resisted our encirclement and was paralyzed by our drones, collectively losing their combat effectiveness. At 2:50 p.m., the last enemy was captured by our army, and all 10,000 enemies were captured, and the war entered a stalemate. At 3 p.m., our army guarded the prisoners and rested on the spot. Sui was shocked, it was a quick pass. In 1 hour, the entire enemy army was captured. This is simply a blitzkrieg in a blitzkrieg. What cannons and airplanes were not used at all, just a small drone to deal with this small scene. The survivors of the country are still here struggling to study what is the legacy of the war, whether to compete for the list, but the soldiers have already completed the second round of the Doomsday War in another world. No, to be precise, this round of the Doomsday War has not ended yet. According to the requirements for victory in the war, all enemy members must be annihilated, but at present, the soldiers have only captured the soldiers participating in the war in the Sakura country, and have not killed them. What is the intention? Jiang Xiaozi had undoubtedly guessed correctly. The soldiers were waiting for the top 10,000 in the domestic war points ranking to be released. They did not intend to end the battle quickly this time, but to use the remaining time to make a good layout for the country.